Previously on Fabulous.
I just found out you have a
Yeah.
19-year-old.
Yeah, I have a 19-year-old. She's in college in Scotland.
And you don't look anything like someone with a 19-year-old.
I
As a
know,
compliment.
Thank you so much. I am
Yeah.
40 myself. So
Okay, lovely, lovely, lovely.
so that's what happens sometimes when yeah. But anyways, I had my baby.
You talk about you didn't know a lot,
Yeah.
and I just want to probe a little bit, if it's okay.
Yeah.
And it says that your mom
Mm.
was educated. She was
Yeah.
in the bank.
Yeah.
She made a choice
Yeah.
to be a stay-at-home mom,
Yeah.
not realizing that there was a potential for
Yeah.
a divorce.
Yeah.
So she went through that process, and you were with her through that whole process. How did
Yeah,
that
a bit of it.
influence your own settling with your? Did you marry then? I'm being careful how I
We
relate
had
to.
a pre-marriage. It was a pre-marriage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at least your baby's dad.
Yeah.
How did you? So how did that influence your mom's experience?
Yeah.
With you living through her, affect your relationship with your spouse then?
It affected me tremendously. That it has affected me all my life. That is why, up to this age, I still have one baby.
Okay.
Because I couldn't dare to bring another baby after realizing that I've failed in that relationship with my baby daddy. And then I realized that no, next time I do it, I must hit right. I was like, no, I can't, I'll not. But my mom, affected me, influenced me so much that I vowed never to be poor.
Okay, so that's one. Okay.
I was like, I'll never be poor, or I'll die trying to not be poor.
Okay.
So at least the first thing I did when I started working, made some money, all those through forging life, really, I bought a plot of land for her, built, and just I
so
said I'll
she
never
can
be poor.
yeah.
I'll never suffer with rent. My kid or my kids will never see what I saw, because life was terribly hard. Imagine failing to pay like one room like this in a slum. Imagine going to school, kids going to school like your age, and you have to hide. That was me. Just hide, because I didn't want them to know. I had to keep up appearance. Yeah.
That's interesting that you wanted to keep up appearances at that age.
Yeah, it was important. I don't know why. Maybe because I felt I didn't have so much, and I had to find one thing to hold on to. And the one thing that I was absolutely sure about was academics, and I had dropped out. So I had to find something to cling on because I had failed.
This is the second time you've used, actually, like the third time you've used the word failed. The first was in relation to the failed relationship. Why do you label it failed?
At that particular time, and I think it's a word that has pushed me through to rise.
Okay.
So it has a vitamin for me. When I realize that I am failing in this field, it gives me energy to strive higher. Yeah. But as far as education is concerned, when I'm maybe conversing with my friends who have experienced something similar, I usually tell them, you have not failed. You are not late, you are just delayed. So there I change it a bit. I also change it for myself.
Yeah.
I was delayed, but at that moment, I was looking at myself as I was ashamed of myself.
How did you move from shame to excelling in life?
For me, the whole thing, I think the greatest cause of the shame was not having a home. So I didn't know how to deal with that. Not having a home and dropping from school. Because like when you're going to school, at least there is some hope.
Yeah.
Of tomorrow. But here I was not having so much hope because, I didn't have it really, to be honest. I didn't have it. And I had to empower myself. It helped me with the people that I met.
Okay.
So the people you surround yourself with are really vital to, to push you to what you're gonna be with. If you move with 9 people who are, really struggling too much, you might be the 10th. So sometimes it's good to surround yourself with the people who know where they're going, who have that energy. And I always told myself that, no, I am not a failure. I am not gonna fail in this. So that's how, I think I was about 25.
Interestingly, it means you started parenting yourself.
Yeah.
So at 25, you had a child who then would be about 4 or 5 years old, depending on the month we're talking about.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you started parenting yourself all over again.
Yeah, I mean, I had her when I was almost 22. Actually.
Okay, almost 22. Yeah. So she's still very young then.
Yeah, she was still very young. I was navigating between motherhood and myself. I saw my dreams not fulfilled in any way. I couldn't see where I was going, and I was like, I'll do anything to give my baby a life that is so different from mine. So,
let's talk about that one.
Yeah.
What is that difference? And how did your daughter is in uni now?
Yeah.
Just tell us a little bit about what you did. When did you go back to school? When did you start work?
So I after when she was around 2, one actually, I happened to get a chance through friends, and I went and started. I started working in a travel agency.
Okay.
I did a course, IATA it is called. I just went there and said, I have the papers, I want to do this, and eventually I studied it and finished it.
Okay.
Yeah. So got my transcripts, and then I went and started working in a travel agency, and that's how I met somebody who came for help. And this person connected me to another person in Denmark.
Okay.
So my daughter was 1 year old, and I got an opportunity to travel to Denmark.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I traveled to Denmark.
With your daughter?
No, by myself. I had to leave her. And I left her with my mom. My dad, her dad was there supporting and everything.
Your stepdad or her dad? Okay.
Her dad.
Okay.
Her dad was also supportive, and but not supportive of me going. When we split, because like I said, I didn't know how to handle even a relationship. Now there is a baby. I had no idea. So I believe he was a good person, but I wasn't ready for the role that I had gotten into. So I had to leave. And when I left, I was like, no, I want to do something better to better my life, me as me. That's when I got even that opportunity, went to Denmark, stayed there for about 3 years. I somehow figured my ways out, started working. I worked. I had like 3 jobs I was doing.
Wow.
In snow, in what, I was out there. I was like, I will never be poor.
Yeah.
I can't be poor. My daughter can never be poor. So I worked, gathered some money. And when I was watching telly, I love films. There is an actor called Julia Roberts.
Yes.
I love her. Yeah. So there is a movie. She was married to a certain guy, and this guy was really, really mistreating her, beating her up, doing all those things. And then she was like, but talking to her friend, who said, but you really wanted to be a veterinary doctor. She said, no, I can't. It's too late, blah, blah, blah. And then later on, she was like, no, I have to do this.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm going to be somebody. And when you become somebody, out of wood, there can come a person who claims to know you in a different way, something like that.
Absolutely.
That was an inspiration to me. I said, wow, Sharon, you get yourself 6 months, work as much as you can, get whatever money you can, go back to Uganda and go to school.
Good.
So I went back to Uganda. I didn't know how to start. My mom was very supportive, like, you can do it. You used to be so good in school. You can do it and all that. So I went to an adult center. I registered. I started going for evening classes. The money I came with from Denmark, I created hardware business.
Okay. So you started a business for yourself.
Okay. I got 3 shops actually. I opened branches.
Nice.
Got connections around. I've met good people in my life, I must say. So people were supportive, borrowing me.
That's where your name comes from, right?
You know? Yeah, so names really determine a lot.
Names are important.
Yeah. So I made profits. I started supporting my mom very well, bought land, started building just to get out of rent, to get her out of rent and all that. So I went back to school. I remember that it's a very old, dilapidated building, you know, with the timber for rebuilding. That's where I went for my it's called ordinary level.
Okay.
The lower, I don't know how to match it in the Ghana standard, but
don't worry.
When you are about 16,
so high school level, that would be high school, SHS rather. Yeah.
So I went there. I sat for my exams, studied, did my exams, and in the center it was Kampala City Council. I was the best student at the national level. So they gave me a scholarship in the school where I was studying that level. I had to study 2 more years before uni. So they gave me a scholarship to study for free because I had performed really well at the ordinary level.
That's a great comeback.
Thank you.
Great comeback, great comeback.
So I went back, did my HSC, that is high school, 2 years before uni. And I still got very good grades. I missed 3 points to get all the points.
Oh, it's still okay.
Yeah, so I got into law in Makerere University. I studied like 2 years. I knew I wanted to go somewhere else. So unfortunately, I did not finish. I loved it, but at the same time, I was looking at the economy. In the meantime, my mom passed.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so I lost something when she passed there. I lost a lot of money as well. The businesses, people she was borrowing did not return. You know, I was in a rut financially.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I gonna do? Let me go abroad and work a little bit and, you know. Now, when I started thinking of traveling abroad again, I applied for a scholarship in Sweden, that is international law and human rights, because I was into the law line. So I got to Sweden, I got the scholarship, I went to Sweden, and I was supposed to return to Uganda, but I stayed, you know.
Which is a good way to get back into your daughter. So you traveled, you left her with mom.
Yeah.
She was a baby then, about 1.
Yeah.
So you returned after what, 3 years?
Yeah,
what was your relationship with your daughter at the time like?
Oh yeah, when I went to Denmark, I always Skyped with her.
Okay,
we always kept that close. And she was always on my lap. You know, I was always carrying her and and my mom did a wonderful job really to let her know that your mommy loves you. Your mommy loves you, your mommy is doing everything, you are okay. And really, once I started earning, I would like to say that my daughter is one of those kids who have got everything that they have desired.
Okay.
Because I never got. So I was like, she'll get everything. And she has.
How is your relationship though?
My relationship, now when I went to Sweden, I stayed 1 year. And figured out things, then I brought her to Sweden.
Because your mom had passed at that time. So where did you leave her?
I left her actually in boarding school, but her dad was also there picking her in holidays. And my sister, I have a little sister who was staying in Uganda. So they would pick her. She had a lot of love around her. So, but she didn't stay long. It was 1 year. So I picked her up, took her to Sweden. Once I settled in the system, I took her. She also settled in the system, got into school. There it was then us. So
just the two of you.
Just the two of us. We got time to bond.
Okay.
To compensate for the lost times in between. And it's been a journey with her and me, just me and her. And especially being in a new country, I had to get a career. Because remember, in Uganda, I was building it. So I had to rebuild it in Sweden. So now I'm in Sweden. My daughter is there. I've put her in school. I am learning language, back to the basics. I have my international law, yes, but it's hard to get a job with it.
Without
First,
the language.
in Sweden, you must speak, you know those countries. You must speak the language. So I took myself to school. I tried to summarize courses. I was very, very intentional. I tried to summarize course, like a course that would take a year. I would combine 2 in 6 months. And read it. I did that.
Wow, Sharon, really?
Yeah. In order to catch up with time. Like I told you, I might be delayed.
So you bought back time. Yeah, so you bought back all your time.
Yes. And
that's incredible.
Meeting people to help. I remember going to the job center, took my papers from Uganda because I had good grades from Uganda. I just told him, I know this is not your job. You deal with work, but please help me. I need these papers to be validated so that I can apply for uni. Please just help me. I put the papers in front of him. The guy was like, you know, really, this is not my job, but I'll help you.
Oh.
So he just helped me with the papers because you have to take them to the national validation to see how many points you have. Like in Sweden with the gymnasiet is a high level, higher school level. The highest you can have is 500 if you're coming from abroad.
Okay.
So when they changed, I had 470.
So you have some 30 to make up for.
So it was easy to get into uni, you know. So I studied because I did my social work in Swedish. So I got in, I applied for uni, first trial, I got in. That's why I was reading intensive Swedish there, to get the Swedish to allow me to study in Swedish at uni. So I got into uni, studied my 3.5. At the same time, I was helping my baby because she was also trying there with the school, you know, primary, elementary, high school, you know. I had to, there are many times when I had to move, for example, with an extra padlock in my bag for her locker in case she loses a key, in case somebody is maybe messing up with her locker, because it used to happen. So I would move with extra, move from one campus to one closer to her school so that I'm ready.
Oh.
So you gotta do those things.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
You do. You do. So you basically rearranged you reoriented yourself around her.
Yeah.
So you could put her in school and still pay attention to her while you pursued both school and work as well. What's your greatest fear for your daughter?
My greatest fear for my daughter actually is she knows she can date, but she cannot all of a sudden, before she's of a certain age, and we are talking about 27, come home pregnant. I fear her to get a baby when she's still young.
So what, you have an agreement?
Yeah, we have, and she tells me, no, mama, I'm not into those things. Until I'm 30, I'm not thinking even of babies. You relax. Like, okay. So every time we talk, I throw in a word. Or I try to give her literature that is pointing to, like there is a new book by Michelle Obama, that is The Light We Carry. So there is somewhere where she speaks about children and taking your time before having kids.
Yeah.
And then I just took a screenshot and sent I do those things.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's incredibly amazing. Do you feel that your own experience is going to affect her in any way? Is that why the agreement? Is that where the fear is coming from? Where's the fear coming from?
The fear comes from observing that really having children when you are young is not the most ideal. Some people succeed.
Yeah.
Yes. But
you did succeeding.
Yeah. But according to my observation, most girls, or the greatest thing that really puts a woman off track from her own self is having kids. And more worse when you're still young, because you're still a baby yourself.
Yeah.
You don't know much, and then you bring another baby. It's very hard to juggle in between, and you got no career. You need one. You need even to understand, how am I to manage man and woman relationship? Then you have a baby. So before you know it, things have fallen apart.